A very good morning. It's just past 8 this Tuesday morning. We're back again with another edition of Breakfast News. I am Anil Thomas. With me, my co-anchor for the morning, Nancy Kohli. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning, Anil. How are you doing this morning?
Doing perfectly fine.
Great. Well, so yes, in fact, over the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the news from across the nation, world sports and business updates, and in fact, lots really happening across the country and the world. Of course, that important order, in fact, that will come in from the Supreme Court, and of course, the National Youth Day being observed today. We'll get you all the updates on that and preparations for the countrywide vaccine rollout that will take place on the 16th of this month. So clearly, preparations in place for that as well. All those updates and a lot more taking place. So we'll get you all the updates on that. First, a look at the headlines.
Well, National Youth Day being observed today on the occasion of birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address the valedictory function of the second National Youth Parliament Festival.
Supreme Court to pass appropriate orders on the issue of farmers' protest today. The court has expressed its intention to see if an amicable solution can be brought in, says it will accept the recommendations of the committee on the new farm laws.
Wife of Union Minister Sripad Naik dies in a road accident in Ankola in Karnataka. Minister injured in the accident and is undergoing treatment at the Goa Medical College. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks to Goa Chief Minister to ensure proper arrangements. Several leaders expressed shock at the mishap.
The cost of COVID vaccination to 3 crore healthcare and frontline workers will be borne by the centre. Prime Minister Modi asked states to make efforts to counter rumours and confusion on the vaccination drive with correct information.
With confirmed cases in Delhi and Maharashtra, total 10 states report bird flu cases. Prime Minister Modi asked states to act on the action plan made by the Animal Husbandry Department. Minister Giriraj Singh says there are no cases of transmission to humans.
And Ravindra Jadeja ruled out of the fourth and the final test. He had suffered a blow to his left thumb while batting on day 3 of the third test that concluded yesterday. And after all those headlines, let's now get you the news in detail.
Well, first up, arise, awake and stop not till the goal is reached. These inspirational words of Swami Vivekananda have always motivated the youth. On this occasion of his birth anniversary, let's revisit the spiritual persona that was Swami Vivekananda.
Swami Vivekananda, a name that does not require any introduction. An influential personality credited with enlightening the Western world about Hinduism, Swami Vivekananda was born to Narendranath Datta on 12th January 1863. Swami Vivekananda introduced the Indian philosophies of Vedanta and Yoga to the Western world and is credited with raising interfaith awareness, bringing Hinduism to the world stage during the late 19th century. He represented Hinduism in the Parliament of Religions in 1893 in Chicago, USA. During his travel all across India, Swami Vivekananda was deeply moved to see the poverty and backwardness of the masses. Swami Vivekananda found the message in the principle of the Atman, the doctrine of the potential divinity of the soul, taught in Vedanta, the ancient system of religious philosophy of India. He saw that in spite of poverty, the masses clung to religion, but they had never been taught the life-giving, ennobling principles of Vedanta and how to apply them in practical life. Swami Vivekananda's speeches at the World's Parliament of Religions held in September 1893 made him famous as an orator by divine right and as a messenger of Indian wisdom to the Western world. Swami Vivekananda returned to India in January 1897. In response to the enthusiastic welcome that he received everywhere, he delivered a series of lectures in different parts of India. On 1st May 1897, Swami Vivekananda founded the Ramakrishna Mission, in which monks and lay people would jointly undertake propagation of practical Vedanta and various forms of social service. Swami Vivekananda believed that if our youth is determined, there can be nothing impossible for them to achieve in the world. He urged youth to have dedication to the cause to attain success. Swami Vivekananda was very vocal about the importance of youth in the process of nation building. In order to honor the ideals and thoughts of Swami Vivekananda, the National Youth Day is observed on 12th of January every year to commemorate the birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. The day aims at propagating the concept of national integration, spirit of communal harmony, brotherhood and courage amongst the youth by exhibiting their cultural prowess in a common platform. Bureau Report, DD India.
National Youth Day is being observed today. The day is observed on 12th of January every year to commemorate the birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. To mark the occasion, National Youth Festival is celebrated every year from 12th to 16th of January. Now this year, the National Youth Parliament Festival is also being organized along with the National Youth Festival. And Prime Minister Modi will address the valedictories function of the second National Youth Parliament Festival via video conferencing. The first three winners will get an opportunity to speak before the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Modi will also interact with the youth on the occasion. The objective of the National Youth Parliament Festival is to hear the voice of the youth between 18 to 25 years of age who are allowed to vote and will join various careers in the coming years, including the public services. This festival is based on the idea given by the Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat address, and taking inspiration from the idea, the first festival was organized on 12th of January to 27th February 2019. The second festival was launched on 23rd December 2020 through a virtual mode.
Well, Union Minister of State for Ayush and Defence, Sripad Naik, met with an accident in Hoshakambi in Ankola Taluk in Karwar district in Karnataka on Monday evening. His wife, Vijaya Naik, and assistant Deepa died on the spot. The Union Minister has been taken to Goa Medical College for treatment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant to ensure proper arrangements for the treatment of Sripad Naik. The car they were travelling from Yalpura to Gokarna was turned turtle in Hoshakambi village.
The Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant has said that the health condition of the Union Minister Sripad Naik, currently being treated at the Goa Medical College and Hospital after getting injured in a road accident in adjoining Karnataka, is stable.
भारत के अपने आयुष मंत्री श्रीपाद जी नाइक, इनको अंकोला यहाँ पे एक्सीडेंट हुआ था कर्नाटक में। कर्नाटक के हॉस्पिटल में स्टेबल करने के बाद उनको प्राइमरी फर्स्ट एड देने के बाद उनको वहाँ से उन्हीं के गाड़ी में शिफ्ट किया था। हमने गोवा बॉर्डर से हमारी एम्बुलेंस से, कार्डियक एम्बुलेंस से उन्हें गोवा मेडिकल कॉलेज में शिफ्ट किया है। एट प्रेजेंट उनकी प्रकृति ठीक है, स्टेबल है।
And let's now go across to our correspondent Yogesh Sheetal, who's joining us with the latest developments there. Yogesh, it's really tragic, and our thoughts, really our heart goes out to the minister's family who has lost his wife in the road accident, and our prayers for the minister as well for his speedy recovery. Just take us through his condition. How is how's his condition this morning? What are the doctors there telling you?
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Anil. Right now I'm in Goa Medical College, and this is a casualty ward. You can see behind me where he's being treated. What we have been given to understand that it was a very, a very worst kind of accident that, in fact, in those areas, because what we have been also given to understand that it was basically shortcut road, which was just a subway from connecting to the NH, and he was heading to a temple. Meanwhile, the driver lost control over the vehicle, and ultimately the accident happened. And now, as you have also rightly correctly mentioned that unfortunately Vijaya Naik is no more, and also one of his aide, which was considered to be his close aide, BJP worker RSS Pracharak, was also died in the accident. So 2 deaths have been reported as of now. What as far as Sripad Naik is concerned, we have been told by the sources in the hospital that he's stable, and last night 2 minor surgeries had also been conducted, and also other tests are being conducted right now. So currently he is admitted in the ICU. As far as other things are concerned, you can see the security arrangements have been increased here. You can see some police personnel also here, because he's very popular in Goa, and the people are trying to come and trying to pay visit to him and try to to understand the situation, how he's recovering. Also the Chief Minister of Goa, Pramod Sawant, also visited after CM dialed his number, and also some other ministerial colleagues and also regional leaders of Goa, they have visited. So we can expect in the time to come, later in the day, that some official statement from the hospital authorities would be coming out, and then the clear picture will emerge. Yeah, Nancy.
Well, Yogesh, considering that he is stable, that's what we heard, and we also, listened to what you had to say. But having said that, now, since you mentioned that the official statement by the hospital is going to be expected through the day, but what's the latest there on the ground that you hear from your sources, especially when it comes to the minister and the condition?
See, the latest, Anil, is that he's stable as of now. What we have been given to understand that he's stable. His situation is stable. He's out of danger, as also Pramod Sawant has said that he's out of danger. But the later things, the detailed analysis, that what are the damages that have been done, and what would be the suggestions, what would be the prescription by the doctors, what would be the things that remains to be done. That I think for that we will have to wait for some time, because he's out of danger. That is the main thing that you are asking. That he's out of danger, and his condition is said to be stable as of now.
Okay, yeah. We'll leave it there. Thank you, and appreciate you joining us this morning with those updates there from Goa, especially when it comes to the union minister there. Well, moving on.
Yes, and in fact, wishing him a speedy recovery. May he get well soon, and our thoughts and prayers are really for him and his family there. Let's move on now to some other news.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday spoke to the chief ministers about preparations being made for rolling out of the COVID-19 vaccine from the 16th of January. Here's a report.
The day that the entire nation has been anxiously waiting for. 16th December will announce start of the most extensive and largest vaccination program in the world against the SARS-CoV-2 virus. With 4 more days to go, the centre and the state governments have started preparations for the mammoth exercise. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is keeping a close eye on the developments. On Monday, the Prime Minister interacted with all the Chief Ministers and Lieutenant Governors and administrators of the Union Territories via video conferencing on the matter. COVID-19 pandemic situation in the states and the preparations for the vaccination drive were discussed in detail during the interaction. Many states also put forward their suggestions on the matter. In his concluding remarks, the Prime Minister appreciated the efforts put in by the state governments. He said that the nation has reached a critical stage in the fight against the pandemic.
16 जनवरी से हम दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा टीकाकरण अभियान शुरू कर रहे हैं। ये हम सभी के लिए गौरव की बात है कि जिन 2 वैक्सीन को इमरजेंसी यूज ऑथराइजेशन दिया गया है, वो दोनों ही मेड इन इंडिया है। इतना ही नहीं, 4 और वैक्सीन प्रोग्रेस में है, और जब और वैक्सीन आ जाएगी तो हमें फ्यूचर का प्लान करने में वो भी एक बहुत बड़ी सुविधा रहेगी।
Prime Minister asserted that Indian scientists have taken utmost precautions and followed every protocol in developing the vaccines. He said that the government has taken the decision based on inputs by the scientific community. Prime Minister further assured that both the vaccines are affordable. Prime Minister gave the details of the entire vaccination program and also the details of who will be accorded priority in the vaccination drive.
हमारी कोशिश सबसे पहले उन लोगों तक कोरोना वैक्सीन पहुंचाने की है जो देशवासियों की स्वास्थ्य सुरक्षा में जुटे हुए हैं, जो हमारे हेल्थ वर्कर्स हैं, सरकारी हो या प्राइवेट, पहले उनको टीका लगाया जाएगा। इसके साथ साथ हमारे जो सफाई कर्मचारी हैं, दूसरे फ्रंटलाइन वर्कर्स हैं, ऐसे साथियों को भी पहले चरणों में टीका लगाया जा रहा है। तय किया गया है कि पहले चरण में इन 3 करोड़ लोगों को वैक्सीन देने के लिए जो खर्च होगा वो राज्य सरकारों को वहन नहीं करना है, भारत सरकार इसको वहन करेगी।
Prime Minister also explained in detail the functioning and role of COVID app in the entire exercise.
कोविन पहले टीके के बाद एक डिजिटल वैक्सीनेशन सर्टिफिकेट जनरेट करेगा। लाभार्थी को यह सर्टिफिकेट टीका लगाने के बाद डिजिटली तुरंत देना जरूरी है ताकि उसे सर्टिफिकेट लेने के लिए फिर ना आना पड़े। किसको टीका लग चुका है ये तो इस सर्टिफिकेट से पता चलेगा ही, साथ ही दूसरी डोज उसको कब लगेगी इसके रिमाइंडर के रूप में भी ये काम करेगा।
Prime Minister stated that the preparations for COVID vaccination program have been completed, but underlined the importance to observe and follow the COVID appropriate protocol. He said that the priority will be to not pay any attention to any rumors.
हर राज्य, हर केंद्र शासित प्रदेश को ये सुनिश्चित करना होगा कि अफवाहों पर वैक्सीन से जुड़े अपप्रचार को कोई हवा न मिले। इप्स और बट्स से बात नहीं होनी चाहिए। देश और दुनिया के अनेक स्वार्थी तत्व हमारे इस अभियान में रुकावट डालने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं। कॉरपोरेट कंपटीशन भी इसमें आ सकती है, कंट्री का प्राइड के नाम से भी आ सकता है, बहुत सी चीजें हो सकती हैं। ऐसी हर कोशिश को देश के हर नागरिक तक सही जानकारी पहुंचाकर हमें नाकाम करना है।
3 phases of dry runs have been conducted across the country. The third dry run was conducted on 8th January across 615 districts, covering 4,895 session sites in 33 states and union territories. Prime Minister, in his interaction, also talked about the COVID situation in the country and assured the chief ministers that the spread of COVID pandemic is not as bad in India as in other affected countries. He said that the anxiety levels may have receded, but this is certainly not the time to lower the guard. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Now, the first consignment containing the Covishield vaccine dispatched from the Serum Institute of India, Pune, in the early hours today. Well, the 3 trucks are taken to Pune Airport and will be sent to 13 locations across the country ahead of the vaccination drive scheduled to start on the 16th of this month. The vials of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine are taken to the airport amid tight security. These vials will fly to various cities including Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Lucknow, Bengaluru, among other major cities.
Well, bird flu cases have been confirmed in Delhi and Maharashtra among 10 states. The central government has told the states to increase surveillance and public awareness. Let's take a look at this report.
Bird flu cases are continuously on the rise in the country. With confirmed bird flu cases in Delhi and Maharashtra, 10 states in the country have reported bird flu cases. Earlier, bird flu cases were confirmed from Kerala, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh. During the interaction with chief ministers of different states on corona vaccine rollout, PM Narendra Modi asked states to be alert on bird flu.
बर्ड फ्लू से निपटने के लिए पशुपालन मंत्रालय द्वारा कार्य योजना बनाई गई है, जिसका तत्परता से पालन आवश्यक है। इसमें डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट की भी बड़ी भूमिका है। मेरा आग्रह है कि प्रभावित राज्यों के मुख्यमंत्री साथी भी मुख्य सचिवों के माध्यम से सभी डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट का मार्गदर्शन करें। हमें सभी राज्यों, स्थानीय प्रशासन को वाटर बॉडीज के आसपास, पक्षी बाजारों में, जू में, पोल्ट्री फार्म इत्यादि पर निरंतर निगरानी रखनी है। बर्ड फ्लू को लेकर लोगों में अफवाहें न फैलें, इसे भी हमें देखना होगा।
According to official information, bird flu has been confirmed from 10 states. Apart from this, ICAR NIHSAD has confirmed deaths of wild birds and crows from Tonk, Karoli, Bhilwara of Rajasthan, Valsad, Vadodara, Surat of Gujarat. Confirmed deaths of crows have come from Kotdwar and Dehradun of Uttarakhand. Sanjay Jheel in East Delhi has confirmed deaths of crows and ducks, while bird flu has been confirmed from poultry farms in Parbhani, while crow deaths have been reported from Mumbai, Thane, Dapoli and Beed in Maharashtra. Culling of infected birds is in progress in Haryana. One central team reached Panchkula on Monday. The team is taking stock of the steps taken in the affected areas. Meanwhile, Union Animal Husbandry Minister Giriraj Singh said that rumours with regard to bird flu are being spread across the country, creating an atmosphere of fear. Giriraj Singh has said that he has asked Delhi's Kejriwal government to open the Ghazipur poultry market.
दिल्ली में जब कुछ होता है तो उसका रिफ्लेक्शन पूरे देश में जाता है. जब गाजीपुर की बात आई तब ये पोल्ट्री के फार्मर सब लोग तबाह और हम सोच रहे थे कि 8 तारीख को हमने जो चिट्ठियां डाली है प्रदेश को तो वो शायद दिल्ली भी इसको गंभीरता से देखा होगा लेकिन कहीं देखने में लगता है चूक हो गई.
Centre has advised states that awareness should be spread among the people. States and union territories have been told that strict vigilant monitoring should be done on bird markets, ponds, zoos, poultry farms. Let us tell you that there has been no evidence of its transmission among humans till now, and there has been no direct evidence to point out that the consumption of polluted poultry products leads to transmission of bird flu among humans. Doctors say that if one cooks the chicken and eggs properly, then there is no danger of transmission. Overall, there is no reason to worry, but need to exercise a little bit of precautions. Bureau Report, DD India.
Meanwhile, following the confirmation of bird flu in the national capital, Delhi, the Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal has said that officials have been advised to enhance alertness. In a tweet, he said, I quote, in view of the recent incidents of avian influenza reported in Delhi, the officials have been advised to enhance surveillance and undertake the requisite measures for control and containment in strict adherence with the action plan for preparedness, control and containment issued by the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. The citizens are also advised to maintain caution and reach out to the helpline number, that's 011-238-90318 in case of need of any assistance.
Well, our correspondent Vishal Baristo joins us with more details on this particular story. Vishal, good morning. Vishal, there is a sense of panic now that's been created all across India, especially now since that, this particular bird flu is now spreading to 10 states. But what's the situation there on ground zero? Is the situation under control? And is there a fear that, this particular bird flu, can it transmit to humans? Is there, because there's a lot of fear related to that. What's the sense that you pick?
Well, a very good morning to you, Anil and Nancy. Yes, you're absolutely right. The fear is there because, Anil, let me tell you that this is a zoonotic disease. But no such incident has been reported in India ever since it was first discovered in 1996 when avian flu struck India. And the World Health Organization also says that if you cook eggs and poultry, chickens at 70 degrees, then it is not harmful. And the union government has also issued a guideline to all the states not to close all the poultry and chicken markets. But yesterday, a petition was filed in the Delhi High Court regarding the Ghazipur Murga Mandi. And as you heard, the Union Animal Husbandry Minister Giriraj Singh, he said that the government had already issued an advisory in October last year, and all the states should have taken it very, very seriously, because though no such incident of from bird to human transmission reported in India, but we all need to be very careful, because all the health workers in the abattoirs, those who are engaged in culling of the birds, they have to be prepared with the PPE kits, and that is what the government has said. And let me tell you that from today, Maharashtra will start culling of around 1,800 chickens. So all precautionary measures are in place. The government is closely monitoring the situation. The Prime Minister himself knows about the situation, and a guideline has been given to all the chief secretaries of all the states and union territories to keep an eye and track the water bodies, zoos and the poultry. So we need to take the situation with a lot of caution, but at the same time there is no need to panic. Anil?
Okay. And, just in the context of this, Vishal, of course, many measures being taken to make sure the situation is under control and to put these fears that people may have to rest. What are the do's and don'ts that, you have learned, by following these stories? What really can one follow and stay safe?
Well, quite a pertinent question, Nancy, because I'm myself a chicken lover, and so is my friend Anil. But let me tell you that we need to be very careful because there is no need to worry. We need to follow what the World Health Organization says, cook it properly at 70 degrees, and at the same time, we should not go for processed meat because Delhi has already banned it. But before eating, you need to cook it properly. And at the same time, while visiting the poultry market, we have to be careful. And also, we need to see that all those who are engaged in this business, they are properly armed and with the certificates so that the virus does not transmit to them. And though it has only been reported in the wild birds, but still it has to be taken very, very seriously because we cannot afford another infection after the pandemic. Nancy?
Oh yes, absolutely. Thanks Vishal for those inputs, but there's clearly a need to stay aware and stay cautious, and of course staying safe is what is utmost important as far as battling the bird flu, which has now been confirmed in 10 states across the country, is concerned.
Nancy, it could now be, that what states are doing is effective states are generally started closing all their poultry markets. Infected birds have been culled. But what happens is there going to be a bio bubble? And we need to look for a vaccine, especially for these birds that are affected. Very soon, that could be the order of the day, considering the magnanimity in which this particular problem is increasing in India.
Okay, let's move on now to some other news. And Supreme Court will be passing appropriate orders on the issue of farmers' protest today. The Apex Court has expressed its intention to see if an amicable solution can be brought in. Here are all the details in this report.
The matter of farmers' agitation against the new reform laws reached the Supreme Court for hearing on Monday. Bench headed by CJI S.A. Bobde started hearing the matter and gave patient hearing to both the sides. The court said that no tangible solution has come from the many rounds of talks between the two sides. The court repeated its earlier proposal of forming a committee of independent experts to go through the laws. The court also asked for suggestions of names to be included in the committee. The court also proposed to stay the implementation of the laws. The AG, K.K. Venugopal, strongly opposed any kind of stay on the implementation of the laws and said that the court can stay the implementation of the laws only if the said law contravenes the fundamental rights or fails on the constitutional validity front. Court replied that it is aware of the difference between staying the legislation and staying the implementation of the law. Solicitor General apprised the court that only the farmers who are sitting on dharna at many border points are against the law. Court also sought to know from the farmers that if the implementation of the laws is suspended, then will the farmers shift the agitation to some other venue where there is no inconvenience to the common man and the threat of COVID-19 spread can also be minimized. The Council for Farmers sought time to discuss the matter with farmer leaders and revert back to the court. CJI said that the intention of the court is to bring an amicable solution. He also suggested to the Farmers' Council that the elderly, women and children should be at home and not camp at the borders exposed to the vagaries of nature. Some farmers and trade organizations also put forward their view during the hearing. The hearing will continue on Tuesday. So far, many rounds of talks have taken place between the centre and the farmer unions on the matter. The next round is slated to be held on the 15th of January. News Night Desk, DD India.
Well, after a look at all the national stories, it's time now to shift focus and take a look at what's happening across the world in our segment Across the Globe. Well, starting first up, the United States House Republicans blocked a Democratic request on Monday to bring up a resolution urging Vice President Mike Pence to start the U.S. Constitution's 25th Amendment process of removing President Donald Trump from office. House Democrats sought the agreement to immediately bring up the resolution for debate, but Republicans stopped it on a voice vote. The Democratic-controlled House of Representatives is expected to take up the matter as early as Wednesday. Passage would make Trump, a Republican, the only president in U.S. history to be impeached twice. Well, for more on the story, we have correspondent Ira Spitzer joining us from San Francisco with more details on the development there. Ira, good morning. What's the latest when it comes to the impeachment process?
Well, things are moving very fast in Washington. As you mentioned there, we had the Democrats in the House of Representatives introduce this motion where Vice President Mike Pence would have to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove President Donald Trump. The Republicans sent some of their rank and file lawmakers to block that. But what's going to happen now is that the Democrats will introduce that again on Tuesday, and then they're saying that Republicans and Mike Pence, the vice president, will have just 24 hours to act, or else impeachment proceedings will begin the following day on Wednesday. And we took a look at those articles of impeachment which were introduced earlier, which essentially lay the blame on Donald Trump's doorstep for the violent riots, which of course we all witnessed at the U.S. Capitol last week. That of course would form the basis for the impeachment. And if you read through the 4-page motion, also the general claims, false claims of election fraud, which Trump has perpetuated since the election, all of those amounting to an impeachable offense in the view of House Democrats. Now, the big question is, of course, whether Republicans would go along with this impeachment. Well, not really clear whether that's going to happen.
Right.
Probably not, as things stand now.
Okay. Right. So, Ira, how realistic does the impeachment against Trump now look like? Because, many, in fact, also, saying that it's obvious the president is no longer qualified to hold that office. He could have put an end to that violence, but he put out the video that, of course, said otherwise.
Right. Well, to the Democrats, it is, of course, clear that Trump should be impeached. And there are questions in the Republican Party, that's Donald Trump's party. There certainly are Republican lawmakers who have indicated that they, too, would support impeachment. But one of the big problems is that you need a 2/3 majority in the Senate. So it's not just enough to have a few Republicans. You really have to have a significant number of people abandon the president from their own party. So that's maybe an uphill battle.
Okay, Ira, considering that no U.S. president has been impeached twice, what do you see? The prospect of an impeachment conviction, does it look likely or unlikely, considering that the Republican base that exists for Donald Trump?
Well, at this juncture, I would say it seems probably more unlikely than likely that this would actually result in an impeachment. And you have to consider Trump only has just about another week or so in office. So the actual business of impeachment would then stretch into the term of his successor, the president-elect Joe Biden. So that would be sort of complicated to carry out that impeachment trial while at the same time trying to go forward with the business of running the country. So that's another concern that people have. But at the same time, there is the argument that there has to be some recourse here to take action against the president because of what happened last week. So even if it's not successful, I think there is this symbolic importance for the Democrats to actually go through with the impeachment, because they and their constituents are demanding that something happen, that Mr. Trump be held accountable in some way for this violence, which they say he incited.
Okay. Ira, there's not just the Democrats and the only ones there who say Trump needs to go, but also a small number of House Republicans there may also vote to impeach him, while others at least want to vote for censure, because, the former GOP speaker is in fact also saying it's time for Trump to resign. So how is the situation really poised, with also the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, summoning the lawmakers there?
Well, Republicans are, for one, under a lot of pressure. They have to respond in some way to what happened. So even if impeachment might not be their preferred way to go about punishing Donald Trump, they will have to come up with some alternative, I think. I don't think they can let this stand, what happened. So a difficult decision facing those Republicans. And we do know, as you mentioned, that many of them, or some of them, will support impeachment. But will it be enough? That's the big question.
Ira, considering that, an impeachment looks unlikely, but if an impeachment does take place, does that prevent Trump from seeking office next time around in 2024?
Well, technically, the impeachment itself wouldn't be enough to prevent him from seeking office in 2024, which may come as a surprise to some people. But for that to actually happen, that would require another congressional vote on a somewhat separate charge, which is also something that is being recommended. So impeachment alone, not enough to prevent Trump from running again, or at least a removal, successful removal from office through impeachment. That's not enough to prevent him from running again. Congress would have to take yet more action to do that, which is something that is being strongly considered right now.
Okay. Also, if a situation does arise where, there could be a possible impeachment trial, could that also affect, the opening days of Joe Biden's administration?
It would have a major effect on the first weeks and perhaps months of Joe Biden's administration. We've already heard from Biden himself talking about the possibility of having to sort of split the congressional duties and focus in those first days between both the impeachment and the things such as the coronavirus relief, which Americans are demanding, and other very important orders of national business, which Mr. Biden is planning to carry out once he indeed takes office.
Okay, now one final word before I let you go. Is there any threat of, any more violence, or are there fears that have been cited by the security agencies? And what's the upscale when it comes to inaugurations, especially considering what's happened in the week gone by?
There is tremendous concern among the U.S. security agencies and among the public at large of continued threats to the inauguration or to other potential targets of anger by people who are still upset about the election result, those same people or the same mentality that led to the siege of the U.S. Capitol. So we've heard reports from the FBI that there have been plans at least made. We don't know how serious those plans are, but certainly authorities on high alert for any more violence in the weeks to come.
All right, thanks very much, Ira Spitzer, for joining us and sharing all those developments as far as the impeachment process against Trump is concerned, and putting all those developments into perspective for us. Thanks very much. Let's move on now to some other news from around the world.
Well, the U.S. has again declared Cuba a state sponsored of terrorism. The Trump administration has cited Cuba's backing of Venezuela behind the placement of Cuba in the list. The announcement is a major roadblock for Democrat President-elect Joe Biden, who had previously vowed to bring a thaw in the U.S.-Cuba relations. Cuba was placed on the list in 1982 under President Ronald Reagan, but was removed in 2015 by President Barack Obama as part of a normalization of relations between the U.S. and Cuba.
And let's now move on, take all the updates on COVID-19 from across the world. As of now, more than 9 crore 13 lakh COVID-19 cases have been reported worldwide, with over 19 lakh 51,000 deaths. Over 6 crore 52 lakh people have also recovered from the virus. The US continues to remain the worst hit country by the pandemic so far and has reported over 2 crore 31 lakh cases of the virus, with the death toll surging past 3 lakh 85,000. Brazil follows the US in terms of death toll with 2 lakh 3,000 deaths.
Well, US President-elect Joe Biden received his second and final dose of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine on Monday at a hospital in New York in Delaware. Biden is all set to take the oath of office as president on the 20th of January, and Kamala Harris will take the oath of office as vice president. A US presidential inauguration traditionally draws hundreds of thousands of visitors to the US Capitol, but the ceremonies have been scaled back dramatically because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
And more news from around the world. Well, France carried out mass COVID-19 testing in a community hall in Paris after the first case of the more infectious, rapidly spreading variant of COVID-19 was diagnosed in the country. Now, as per the French authorities, 7 to 8 people have tested positive for the new variant, which was first found in Britain. However, President Emmanuel Macron's government has said it will not rule out the stricter measures if the COVID-19 situation worsens in France, where over 27,86,000 cases of the virus have been reported so far, with the death toll reaching above 68,000.
Meanwhile, California has announced plans to set up 3 vaccination hubs across the state, out of which one at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. The state has been converting sports venues, convention halls and empty schools into vaccination centers in a bid to roll out mass COVID-19 vaccination drive. Already, 1 million Americans have been inoculated against COVID-19 so far. However, the pandemic still rose across the United States, claiming over 30,200 lives alone in California, and all over the country, over 3,85,000 people losing their lives.
And Lebanon has tightened its COVID-19 lockdown, introducing a 24-hour curfew as COVID-19 infections overwhelmed the country's medical system. The new all-day curfew starts at 5 in the morning on Thursday and ends at 5 morning on 25th of January. The new measures also include stricter procedures at the airport for the passengers arriving from Cairo, Addis Ababa, Baghdad, Istanbul and Adana. The travelers arriving in from these destinations will have to quarantine for 7 days at a hotel, while all others will quarantine up to 72 hours. The lockdown faces resistance amid concerns over soaring unemployment, inflation and poverty. Lebanon is still dealing with a devastating financial crisis that has crashed the currency, paralyzed the banks and frozen savers out of their deposits. Lebanon has over 222,000 cases of COVID-19 along with more than 1,600 deaths.
Well, Portugal's President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa has contracted COVID-19 disease. The President's office said he had no symptoms so far. A statement from the office of the President reads that he will self-isolate himself at his official residence in Lisbon. Rebelo de Sousa has also cancelled all his public meetings after testing positive for the virus. The President had major plans scheduled for Tuesday, including a meeting with health experts on details of a lockdown to be announced. Portugal's COVID-19 cases exceed 4,89,000, while the virus has claimed more than 7,900 lives so far in the European country.
Now, a vaccination superstation opened in San Diego yesterday to administer the treatment to health workers in the region. San Diego County says there are 500,000 health workers in the region who are eligible for Phase 1 priority vaccination. The goal of the drive-in superstation is to vaccinate a minimum of 5,000 health workers a day. The superstation contains 42,000 square feet of tenting. It will open from 7 in the morning till 7 evening, 7 days a week. The idea for the operation was conceived last week and put into practice by the San Diego County, the U.S. San Diego Health, the San Diego Peders and the City of San Diego.
Well, the United States plans to designate Yemen's Houthi movement as a foreign terrorist organization. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that the aim is to hold the Houthis accountable for cross-border attacks threatening civilians and infrastructure. The decision to blacklist the Iran-aligned group comes as the administration of President-elect Joe Biden prepares to take over from the Trump administration on Jan 20th. A Houthi leader said in a social media post that the movement, which has been battling a Saudi-led coalition in Yemen since 2015, reserved the right to respond to any designation.
And let's now move on to our next segment and get you all the news from the world of sports in Sports Track. All-rounder Ravindra Jadeja has been ruled out of the 4 tests against Australia in Brisbane with a dislocated thumb. Jadeja had suffered a blow to the thumb while batting in India's first innings in the 3rd test at the Sydney Cricket Ground. The BCCI in a statement said that Jadeja had gone for scans and results showed that he had dislocated his thumb. Jadeja was then taken to the scans in Sydney after he was hit on the left thumb by a Mitchell Stark bouncer. He did not take the field during Australia's 2nd innings, although he carried on and remained unbeaten with the bat during India's 1st innings. While India have Kuldeep Yadav as a spin option to replace Jadeja, while Shardul Thakur and T. Natarajan provide the pace options to the team management. The 4th and the final test of the series is set to begin on Friday at the Kaaba in Brisbane.
Well, nearly 10 months after COVID-19 disrupted the international badminton calendar, star Indian shuttlers PV Sindhu and Saina Nehwal will return to competitive action in the Thailand Open badminton tournament starting on Tuesday. Saina Nehwal was due to open the tournament against world number 4 Nozomi Okuhara, but with Japan and China withdrawing their players from the tournament due to the COVID concerns, the draws have been reshuffled. She will now compete against Malaysia's Kisona Selvadurai. She will face either Busansan Ongbrung Sangpang or Sabrina Jacket in the second round. World champion and Rio Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu faces Denmark's Mia Blikkkleft in the first match. Sindhu, currently world number 7 in the Badminton World Federation rankings, will be the favourite against the former European Games champion. Well, moving to our next segment on health.
Yes, absolutely. Take a look at the health story of the day. And our focus continues to be on the avian influenza, commonly known as bird flu, that has affected around 10 states now in the country. Take a look at this report to know about what measures can help prevent the bird flu infection.
Bird flu outbreaks have become frequent in recent years across the globe. Bird flu scare has gripped many states in India. After COVID-19 pandemic, the avian influenza is spreading rapidly in the country. It is a viral disease caused by influenza type A virus that is commonly found in wild birds. The problem occurs when the poultry and the pet birds start getting infection.
One of the H5N1 viruses, if the temperature is around 4 degrees, then it can remain in the wet feces till more than 1 month. Even in 25 degrees also it can survive up to 7 days, 1 week it can survive. So there is every chance that the poultry or the birds coming in contact with the excreted materials like nasal swabs or the fecal matters, they get infected and they may carry the disease from whether it is poultry or the person who are handling the poultry, they can transmit the disease from one farm to other farm also through this contaminated soil or the feces.
This virus has several strains, most of them causing mild symptoms and affecting low egg production. After the bird flu cases were confirmed from few states, several other states have been put on the high alert. India notified the first outbreak of avian influenza in 2006. Infection in humans is not yet reported in India, though the disease is zoonotic. The risk factors for the infection of bird flu in humans are association with birds and poultry farms and bird feces, exposure to infected birds, eating undercooked poultry or eggs, contact with an infected patient, and the household member of an infected person.
We are normally getting the cases in the winter season throughout in different states and also for last many years. Like for example, Kerala, we have seen the incidences in 2015, 16 and then 20 again in different epicenters. Already established national action plan is there. We are following those action plans not only for the containment but also for prevention of the disease, and we try to have this action plan implemented in different states.
Our Indian cooking method, it is more than 100-degree temperature, so the virus cannot survive in this high temperature, but minimum temperature is 70 degrees where this virus can be inactivated if it reaches all parts of the meat. So due to our cooking style and method, so there is no chance of survival of virus in this temperature.
Central teams have been deployed to visit affected areas for monitoring and epidemiological investigations. Precautions and alertness is must to contain the spread of infection of avian influenza. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Well, after a look at that health story, it's time now to take a jog down memory lane and take a look at all the important events that took place on this very day in history, January 12th.
1869 on this day, Bharat Ratna Bhagwan Das, an Indian theosophist and public figure, was born in Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh. On the same day in 1976, Britain's renowned detective novelist Agatha Christie passed away. She had written a total of 83 books and had sold nearly 300 million copies. On this day in 2005, the iconic Indian actor Amrish Puri, who appeared primarily in negative roles in Hindi movies, passed away at the age of 72 in Mumbai.
And let's now move on to our next segment, Web Review. We'll get you all the news that's been making it to the web this morning. We have our colleague Preeti joining us. Let's go across to her. In fact, Preeti, good morning. Just take us through what news has been trending on the web and what have you picked up for our viewers?
Thank you so much, Anil and Nancy, and good morning to all our viewers. When we talk of what all has been put forth in the web portals across social media, then most of the online portals are leading with the issue of farmers and also bird flu updates, which we are also carrying in our bulletins. So the first slide up your screens, which I have picked up, is talking about the COVID-19 vaccines. Remember, the vaccination, when we talk of vaccination, then the fight against COVID-19 is on a very decisive stage, with vaccination about to begin on 16th of January. And on your screens, we have the details of the COVID vaccine. Government orders 55 lakh co-vaccine doses to cost 295 rupees per dose, says report. Dispatch of Bharat Biotech's co-vaccine is likely to start tomorrow morning from Hyderabad, and also the central government has asked Bharat Biotech to supply around 5.5 million doses at 12 centres before 14th of January. Also, the central government has asked Bharat Biotech to supply around 55 lakh doses at 12 centres before 14th of January. And the government had also placed a purchase order with Serum Institute of India for 11 million doses of Oxford's coronavirus vaccine Covishield. Now that will cost around 210 rupees per dose, including the GST. Now the thrust and the focus is on making the vaccines affordable, and this is what has been put forth by the Mint. This is the first slide. The next slide up your screens is from Hindustan Times. Hindustan Times says China pulls back 10,000 troops from Ladakh theatre. The Indian Army is closely monitoring the developments in Ladakh theatre, as a reinduction of troops by the PLA in the sector cannot be ruled out. Spelling out the details, the paper says that the PLA has pulled back 10,000 soldiers from the depth areas in the Ladakh region to rear positions. Now, more or less, the extreme weather conditions are being attributed as the reason behind this pull-off. And also, the paper gives us the details that PLA's frontline deployments remain unchanged, and the withdrawal of the troops appears to be linked to extreme weather conditions in the sector. This has been put forth by the paper. The next slide up your screens is coming in from Times of India. Passenger vehicle retail sales up by 24% in December on back of pent-up demand. FADA's report spells out this optimism and positivity on which the year closed. It says automobile dealers body, that is FADA, has said that in December, the year-on-year increase of 23.99% was witnessed in the passenger vehicle retail sales, and it says 2,71,249 units were sold on the back of pent-up demand, and that was in continuation of the festive season. Two-wheeler sales increased by 11.88%, and tractor sales grew by 35.49% to 69,105 units that were sold last month. However, commercial vehicle sales slipped by 13.52% to 51,454 units in December. However, there is positivity in the automobile sector that once the vaccination rolls out and there is control over the COVID-19 situation, things and businesses will further improve. With that, the next slide I pick up this morning is coming in from India Today. Sensex Nifty close at record highs. The slide also talks of 3 reasons behind the stock market optimism. It gives us the details. It says the market Sensex rose 1% to 49,269.32, while Nifty ended a record closing peak of 14,484, almost up by 1%. Now, the The rally in IT stocks was the major reason behind this optimism in the stock markets, and also it says the IT stocks led from the front and remain top gainers on the indices. When we talk of the top gainers, then firms like HCL Technology, Infosys, TCS and Tech Mahindra, all of them had gained between 2 to 6%. The other reasons which have been attributed is again the positivity stemming out from COVID-19 vaccination program, which will start and which will be rolled out from 16th of January. Added to that, also the higher foreign fund inflows. Added to that, also the optimism or the expectations of a higher US stimulus package. These were also the other factors which led to Sensex and Nifty closing higher and on a good positive note. With that, we'll end this web review here. It's back to Anil and Nancy for the rest of Breakfast News.
Well, thank you, Preeti, for those updates there from the World Wide Web. Well, now moving focus to our final segment of the day, that's taking a look at the weather.
Under the influence of the cyclonic circulation over southwest Bay of Bengal or Sri Lanka coast in the lower levels, fairly widespread to widespread rainfall with isolated heavy falls and moderate thunderstorm and lightning very likely over Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikaral, Kerala and Mahe and Lakshadweep during the next 3 days, and significant decrease in rainfall activity over these regions thereafter. Isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall very likely over Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal and Kerala and Mahe on even today as well. And due to the prevalence of the dry northwesterly winds, minimum temperature very likely to gradually fall by 2 to 4 degrees Celsius over most parts of northwest India during the next 2 to 3 days, which are very likely to cause cold day and the severe cold day conditions at some or many pockets of Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, northwest Uttar Pradesh and North Rajasthan during the next 2 days, and the cold wave, severe cold wave conditions at the isolated pockets also very likely over Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, northwest Uttar Pradesh and North Rajasthan during the next 3 days. And let's move on now, take a look at the temperature in your city for today.
Well, we are at the fag end of the show. Remember, in the winter season, it's difficult to find sunshine. But, you can be the sunshine in each and every one of, of your friends, your relatives and the others' life by simply following a simple rule. That's wearing your mask. We've got a campaign running for you, Mask Up India, as we finish the show. And as we head out of the studios, we're going to get our mask on as we move on. So do not forget to have your mask on as you step out of your house, because we need to be the sunshine for our loved ones.
Absolutely. So it's a special campaign that we're running here at DD India, Mask Up India, where we urge you to in fact always gear up with your mask. It's a simple task. Just wear your mask. And before we go, we are leaving you with these beautiful visuals. Well, as the sun colors flowers, so does art colors life. So we are leaving you with the heartwarming visuals there of Siberian grandmothers there knitting the woolen items and bringing to life the beautiful traditional designs of Siberia. Take a look at those visuals and we wish you a great day ahead. Take good care of yourself, stay healthy and stay safe. Thanks for being with us.